Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have liftoff.
Today's guest turned a personal health challenge into a powerful brand story. After being diagnosed with lupus, she set out to create a cereal that was safe, satisfying, and genuinely joyful to eat. And with that, SUPERKEEN was born. With the help of a university innovation grant and a lot of determination, what started out as a personal project is now a growing brand that's changing the breakfast game. Please welcome to the podcast, Caragh Keane. Right, before we get into it, if you like this episode, which I know you're going to, please don't forget to like and subscribe and to share it to your group chat. Well, welcome.
Hi.
I am so excited to have you here. And I must actually start this by saying, probably not as excited as my daughter, who is hid behind the table.
Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with her. She's the cutest.
Is your biggest
in the
fan.
world.
And we'll get into that because we had this really sort of strange moment where your brand is really newly launched.
Yes, yeah.
And we met in a department store that you were kind of giving samples out. And I must have really bought it after only a couple of weeks of it being on shelf.
You must have, yeah.
We basically had this sort of situation where gluten wasn't agreeing with my middle child, Valley. And I was kind of looking at doing that thing that mums do where you go and you're like, what do they like? And I can't now have this cereal and nothing else in my cupboard I can now have. And then I stumbled across SUPERKEEN and literally I was in the aisle of one of my favourite shops. And which is Planet Organic. And everything else was so boring on shelf and so kind of like, she's not going to like this. There's no way I'm going to sell this into her. And then I saw SUPERKEEN and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're a
read
bit bright.
everything.
We're a bit bright.
No, but it's so like, there's something so nostalgic about it, almost retro feeling. But I knew she would go, okay, what's this? Without sort of...
Oh, I love hearing that because really the vision with it was for like children wanting to go grab a box. And I think with a lot of free from products, they can look really just like there is no life to them and that they're missing out. And I just didn't want anyone to feel like they were missing out.
And just missing the fun.
Yeah.
So I was like instantly, so I grabbed a couple of boxes and it was the cinnamon one first of all. And she loved it. And then I saw you a few weeks later in that department store.
It was like a sliding doors moment for me, honestly.
Weird. And then obviously we got talking and you were giving out samples. I was like, oh my goodness, my daughter is obsessed with this. We're having this whole situation. And it was so good to meet you. But it's so nice to now be able to sit down and chat through.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
And
I'm a big fan of you. And honestly, when I met you in the shop and we were sampling and like the first thing I said was, oh, I love your cap because you were rocking Ladies Who Launch
cap.
And then I was, oh my God, it's Rochelle. I was like,
I'll get you on.
I'll get you on.
Yeah. So let's talk about you, everything in between. Before we go into you personally and your story, for those that don't already know, why don't you explain a little bit about what SUPERKEEN is?
Absolutely, yeah. So SUPERKEEN is the cleanest cereal on the market, essentially. It was a cereal born out of my own health struggles. And when I'd become really poorly with lupus, I started really just researching ingredients and, food that I could eat to make me feel good. And I just realised everything was full of processed ingredients and the options that were there just felt like I was missing out, and I started getting real kind of ingredient anxiety. So I was just trying to eat really clean and just realize actually there's no options out there for people wanting to eat this way. And I was just being a primary school teacher, just realized how many children started the day off on the wrong foot with cereals that are just crammed with super processed ingredients. That started off my kind of research into gut health and different ingredients. And as I started to heal with my own kind of lupus on my journey, it was something that I became super passionate about and wanted to create something that everyone could reach for, because I think not having options is just absolutely awful.
And particularly when you've always been used to sort of living a certain way, and then when you get told, okay, you can't, this is now not your norm, and this is not now what your life is going to look like. and then you see what's available.
Gosh,
and there was, you know, and it's clear to see that there was a real gap in the market there. And I suppose we put so much focus, don't we, on your breakfast being the most important meal of the day. But when your options are limited,
gosh,
it's quite depressing.
Yeah, and I think it just, you end up honestly just questioning everything. You're like, oh my God, well, I can't go out and have breakfast with my friends, or, you know, then you're just spending hours in the shops looking at the ingredients. And I think with SUPERKEEN, I just wanted it to be clear that you don't have to worry about picking up a box. So that's why I just wanted the clean ingredients on the side, and to just take away that fear from reaching for a product. Because I've had it, and it's the worst feeling, you know, feeling worried about ingredients.
And we often talk about, like, in life, sort of taking the small, not sort of wasting your time. We've had so many founders on this podcast making decisions about small things, but that's really hard to do when you have to look into every detail and every ingredient because you're now intolerant or you now can't have. So you have to focus on those small decisions are actually big decisions, because when it directly affects your health. We often start, you know, these conversations in such a way where we reflect on childhood and how that looked, and passions. And I know for you, your passion was all for becoming a teacher.
Yes.
So where did that begin?
Yeah, so I grew up, I'm one of 5, so I grew up in Manchester. There was always something happening in the house, either like a dog running about or I was playing some kind of game. But my siblings were like my best friends. I'm really lucky to have had them. And I think growing up, I was actually quite an anxious child and really anxious at school, and just always kept my head down and did a lot of sports, but I just always had this anxious energy.
Right.
And I think that definitely plays into the fact that, you know, growing up, I thought, you know what, I'd love to create a space where no child felt anxious. And I don't think it's a reflection of, you know, my school, or just, I think the person I was. I think I was always just a worrier. And I grew up, and we had quite kind of like an Irish upbringing. I think my family have like really strong values with like being together, and so there was
so nice.
It is. And do you know what, I'm really fortunate, because even like till this day we still have like a Chinese on a Saturday, so like we all come together, and that's a really important part of I think growing up for me. I think my family played a big role. I was just really close to the family growing up, and was really fortunate to have gone to a lovely school, and just kept my head down. I think my mum was like everything to everyone, so I really looked up to her. And I think my dad, with his career in sports, it was very much so, he was really driven, and I think I always had this interest about kind of the mentality behind, you know, achieving your goals and working towards something. And I think even from a young age, I was always intrigued by how come certain people kind of achieve certain levels of success, whether it's a sports person or a business person. And I think that was always something I was really intrigued by.
Like a real curiosity.
Yeah. So I think that was always interesting to me. And so, it was something that I think that stayed with me.
Yeah.
And just a really curious person. I just loved learning about different things. And I was just kind of just love sports, but I think academically probably not the strongest, really. And so I just kind of worked hard, and then that was really important. Like my parents would always say, you know, they wouldn't put pressure on us academically, but they'd be like, did you do your best?
Yeah.
You know, as long as we did, we were like, that's all that matters.
I think that's so important as well when and you'll know this as well better than anyone, that being a teacher, that is, for me, that's all I want for my kids. Like I've got 3 children, they're all completely different. I raise them exactly the same. And obviously you have to sort of change your approach with all 3 according to their personality, but we have the same beliefs, the same values. But all I want them to do is do their best. I'm like, it doesn't matter if you're not the most, like, if you're not in top set for this, if you're in bottom set for that, we do our best, and that's it. And we have this thing that we say 10 out of 10 best effort. And as long as you've given that,
Oh, yeah.
we're good.
It's all that matters,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think it was always, the emphasis was put on how we would treat people.
Yeah.
And, you know, how you like have manners and you're respectful. And so I think that was really important. So I never really felt that academic pressure, but I think just as the person I am, I think I would always just like keep my head down and, you know.
And what was it about teaching that really appealed to you?
Yeah.
What was sort of, where do you think that passion was born?
Yeah, well, I think I love kids, and I think, you know, learning about different areas. So I think with primary school teaching, I just love the idea of teaching kind of all areas. So that was something that I was really excited about. And I think I'm a bit of like a nerd with certain things. Like I love learning about, you know, science or history. And yeah, I just think it was something that I really wanted to just create a classroom where, you know, I was able to create a really kind of space where, you know, learning was happening. Everyone felt they could ask questions and felt welcome.
Safe.
Yeah.
You are like, you would be, I just know, my children's dream teacher.
Oh,
you've got like
that's
an
so
air of
sweet.
like, you know, Miss Honey from Matilda.
Thank you.
Where you just seem like the nice, like you're like, I want her to be my teacher or my sister or my mum. I just want her. I could no, honestly, like you can tell that you would have created such a warm space. So you then went on to teach sort of primary school kids for 4 years, is that right?
Yes, yeah. So I was teaching in Manchester, and as I finished my teacher training, I became really poorly. So that's when kind of, my health just plummeted.
So what happened? So talk to me about that moment, because you've done this training, you're ready to start.
Yes.
What is your dream job and what you've really been working towards.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
Yeah, so I kind of had a few symptoms cropping up over the space of a few months. So I just finished my teacher training and yeah, it was one of those things where I thought, oh gosh, I've got an interview for my dream job. And at that stage, I was just I started experiencing blisters on my hands that started to just kind of escalate, just went all over my face and my chest and my back. And then I thought, oh, do you know what? I think I'm just quite stressed at the moment. Or I just need a bit of sleep, you know? And so, yeah, that was one of the symptoms that I just kind of, that had cropped up and was there for a few months. And I just thought, oh, I'll just get on with it. And then
that's such a female thing to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
And that's always something I always want to flag as well. You know, if you know, you're not feeling right and these symptoms are appearing, and hopefully with lupus, I think that those symptoms can vary a lot. So hopefully I can share that so other people can maybe be aware of it. But I was just getting really fatigued. So I remember get my hair cut, and I fell asleep getting my hair cut, and I just thought, this is like not right. And I had to pull over on the side of the road to sleep, and just that's not who I am as a person at all. And yes, so the fatigue and the blisters, and I was just having kind of hair loss that was just ongoing. So I thought, oh, do you know what, again, I just think I'm stressed, until I started getting alopecia patches. And when I couldn't control that at all, and it just actually spiraled, I thought, this is probably something a bit serious,
and this is probably all connected.
And I had and on the way to my interview for my job that I was going for after finishing teacher training, and it was at my old school. It was like my dream job. And I remember I couldn't turn the wheel on my car because of the joint pain, and I sat outside and I just was trying to build up the kind of the confidence to go in, and I thought, I'm not going to be able to kneel down to these children. I was like holding back tears because I just thought, I don't know how I'm going to do this,
and that's so scary as well, to feel like your body is, you're not in control of your body, and something is really taken over. Absolutely. And you don't know what this is. And the not knowing is,
oh, it's horrid.
Is often really scary, right?
It really is. And I didn't know, and I think I'm quite fortunate because like on the back of doing the interview, and it all went well and I got offered the job, but I wasn't able to take it then, because I said to the head teacher, I said, I'm really poorly. I don't know what it is, but I won't be able to take on this role and be the teacher that you're needing.
Yeah,
Physically, I wasn't able to. So, because I'd been so poorly, I think it was a bit of I was quite kind of silver linings because I was able to be diagnosed quite quickly.
Right.
Because I think on average, it's like 6 years for a diagnosis of an autoimmune condition. So, like, people would have been in my situation, not being able to get answers.
But your kind of symptoms, I suppose, escalated quite quickly.
Yeah. So it is like there's no singular like clinical test for lupus, but it's like an accumulation of kind of like physical symptoms and clinical testing. But it all kind of happened in a time where I was able to be diagnosed, and then it was one of those things where I was like, what on earth is this?
And then I suppose, sort of being the way that you're wired, you instantly think, I'm going to research into this and I'm going to figure out what I do to make myself feel more like me again.
Yeah. And that was kind of hearing that I'd have to be on chemotherapy and steroid cycling for life. I thought, this can't be my life. Like at 25, I thought, oh my gosh.
That is such a hard sort of pill to swallow. Yeah. It really, really is. Mm-hmm. And like you say, being used to being a certain way and having that freedom, and not even, you take life for granted a bit, right?
100%, yeah.
And then having something that is so debilitating.
Yeah. And I think I did go through a period of like mourning my life. I thought, like, what does having children look like for me now? What does, being able to go back to teaching look like for me? Or like finding being in a relationship. I just thought, gosh. So I think it was one of those times where I was like, no, this is the time where you either let it take hold of you, or you make that change, which I think, I'm so grateful for my mum, because she was like my rock. So I always think, I don't know where I'd be without her, because I think at times where I was really wobbling, she would be that person saying, no, your body, like, you can do this. Like, you can manage this.
And not only did you manage it, you decided to launch a business. Yeah. So where does all of this come into play? Because you're dealing with quite a really kind of overwhelming period of your life. And it is like a bit fight or flight, isn't it? It's a little bit, okay, we're going to either turn this into something positive.
Yes.
And I'm going to see this as a new lease of life. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to learn my body. I'm going to know my body. Yeah. But launching a business is A, not for the faint-hearted, but B, when you're in this period that feels all a little bit uncertain. Yeah. So when was the idea for SUPERKEEN born?
Yeah, so it is, when I'd been kind of in a lot of pain, and I had a lot of time to think about, how to manage this, and started researching ingredients and anti-inflammatory diets, and essentially started eating in a way that eliminated all potential inflammatory triggers. And there was something I came across called AIP diet, which is an autoimmune protocol way of eating, but it essentially is a way of eating that just reduces any potential inflammation in the body. So I started researching into that, and kind of stuck to that, and was very kind of rigorous with supplementation, and just started to see my hair grow back and my joint pain subside. So I did then understand, like, actually the link between like your diet and your health is so important, and gut health was just something that became such a topic of interest for me. And I remember reading that I believe like 70% of your immune system is regulated by your gut health. And I just remember thinking, well, what we're putting into our bodies has a huge impact.
And even like from like an anxiety perspective and like everything, it's that your gut is so powerful, right?
So powerful. And I think it is like there's a lot of talk about it now on socials, and there's some great kind of like people talking about it, and it's great that there's like a growing kind of space
so much
for
more
that.
information. Yeah.
And so it was something that I became really interested in. And I just thought, if I can help myself and my health with diet, why can't I kind of share this information? And also, why don't I create something that everyone can reach for, that abides by even an AIP friendly way of eating?
Yeah.
So if it's AIP, essentially anyone can reach for it. So that was kind of the thought behind it.
And why cereal?
Yeah, I think cereal for me, it was just something that I was so aware of being a teacher, and the children would come in school, they'd be hungry before break time. You'd hear the little belly rumbles and they'd be like, "Miss, can I have a biscuit?" You just say, "No," do you know? But
No.
I was just so aware of actually how, children started their day, but also the amount of rubbish in the average cereal. I'm always amazed at kind of how many artificial ingredients there are in cereals on the shelves, and I just thought, actually, this needs to change. So I thought cereal could be a good starting point, and I would love to kind of create other products as well, but that was something that I just knew was an area that actually a lot of people struggled with.
Yes. And that would be like, and of course, I'm sure over time the brand is going to expand, but that will be like the hero product.
I hope so.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense. And as I said, just from like a consumer perspective, shopping and being in a retailer and going, there's absolutely no way I'm going to be able to put this dry, boring looking cereal in front of my daughter and be like, this is now what you're going to eat. How exciting.
Oh gosh.
So it was a real... Like, for me, it was so refreshing to see that. And I was only kind of new in that market because of her. Yes. So I can only imagine, like you say, for people that have seen that aisle develop over time, that actually, the kind of evolution of what those aisles look like, and those free from sections of a supermarket
100%.
are so boring.
Yeah, and I feel like, why should those people that may have to kind of avoid certain ingredients have to miss out on everything, on experience, on branding, on like how it makes them feel? Yeah. So that was the real kind of make friends with food, kind of just positive energy I wanted to go for. So that's so lovely to hear that, like, that kind of jumped out when you're on shelves.
It really, that's exactly, you've big tick there, because that's exactly what you've done. Where, going from kind of the teaching background, that being your focus, developing a product-based business is a challenge, right? Getting from the product itself to the branding to everything in between. Who was the first person that you called when you thought, okay, I've got this idea and I really want to bring this to life? Like, where did you feel like your expertise lied, and what did you feel like you were missing?
I think it is a really tricky place to be, because you're thinking, where's best to start with all of this? And I actually essentially started researching, routes for an innovation grant. So I applied for an innovation grant, and that was with the University of Manchester. Right. And so I was awarded this grant to create a cereal that everyone could reach for. And so that was a huge kind of route for me to get started. So that was like £5,000. And I was able to work with the extruder there, which is the machine we use to create the cereal. Wow. So the powder, the kind of the flour goes into the extruder and then goes under kind of pressure and temperature to create the popped cereal. So
that's
it
so
was
interesting.
it was a big learning curve.
And do you know what? That's really nice to hear, because we often, I think, as society, we overlook grants and things that we don't realise that we don't qualify, that we actually could qualify something, and we're not grabbing it with both hands. So tell me a bit about this. So is it innovation?
Yeah, so it was an innovation grant, and there was a company called the Growth Hub that I came across, and they supported kind of new businesses with innovative ideas. Right. And so I just thought, do you know what, this is actually would be a route that I think could hopefully get me to where I need to be. Yeah. And so I kind of applied. There was kind of multiple interviews, and it was something that I had to come up with the idea of the ingredients to include, so tiger nuts and cassava flour. And I'm not sure if you know much about tiger nuts,
No, but I'm all ears.
They're amazing. And I remember researching them and came across one fact about them. Really high in resistant starch, which is good for digestion and gut health, and high in fibre. And I thought, this is an incredible ingredient. How is this not used more? And it is used a lot in parts of Spain, but it was something that I thought, hey, let's actually look to use this in a cereal. So I just knew how inclusive they were and how kind of gut friendly they were. So those were the two flours. So I put this proposal together for the innovation grant, and I was really fortunate to have been awarded it.
Oh my gosh, how incredible. I love that. And I love kind of like how ingredient focused you are, and that's the thing that I can tell that lights you up.
Oh, and it really does. And I think I'm just like doing the research for it. It is something that I'm always thinking about. Even now, it's like, well, how can we improve if we can? And but that is the core of everything.
Well, ingredient first, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely that. And in terms of like branding and the aesthetic and the look and feel, were you quite particular on like the SUPERKEEN that we're seeing here and we're seeing now in front of us? Were you quite particular on how that's to look, or was that something that was quite overwhelming for you?
Yeah, I think to begin with, I just really had the idea of it becoming super inclusive and friendly and bright, and everyone to feel like they could reach for a box. So whether it's adults or children, for that to kind of just be a positive thing to start the day with. So it was more of a feeling that I went towards with how we were going to go about the branding, and with the support from a really great agency in London, they helped kind of bring those ideas to life, and it was a really interesting process. I kind of love the creative side of it. I think that is so exciting. I feel like you're the same with that.
I love it. That's honestly my favourite thing. If that was the only part of my job that I had to do, I would be a very happy bunny. I love
amazing.
It. Putting those first references together and
then it feels like it's a real thing and it's coming to life.
There's nothing more exciting to me at all. And then seeing all of that then on a shelf.
Absolutely.
So the kind of the creative, you knew what that needed to be in your mind. It was like about getting someone to execute that for you.
For sure, yeah.
And I always say that, like, I love it. And I kind of, if I could be like a whiz on Photoshop, or like be able to really kind of design.
Instead of Canva, I'm like,
God, I would be
awful,
dangerous because I love the idea of this. I'd never sleep because I'm like obsessed with
100%
Pantones and branding and like fonts and everything in between.
Yeah.
I want to talk about then getting it off the ground, because we talk a lot on this podcast about investment and how that looks and getting off the ground, and how we have these ideas, but we often talk about women being so underfunded in that space, and we take up, I think, 2% of
it is,
which is kind of a stark figure, and it's probably lower than that. I've probably got that wrong. I try to not listen to it because it's so depressing.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Yeah, it's shocking.
But investment can be hard. I know that you took early investment from your dad, which I wanted to touch on, because your dad is the icon that is Roy Keane. And by the way, he makes me laugh so much. My husband shows me all these like football reels, and I always like watch clips of him and Ian Wright on a podcast, and I just think it is genius. It is so good.
Oh no, he can be a bit crazy.
I love it. I love it. I'm like, it's like he says what everyone else is thinking. I don't even know anything about football, but I just quite like his reaction to stuff. So I want to talk about like family working together, investment, because of course we know, as I said, how hard funding can be in that space, and we always must acknowledge our own privilege when we can have access to funds. However, we should say the idea of like an investor, breathing down your neck and having to hit KPIs and everything else in between. I can't imagine the idea of when Roy Keane's your dad and taking investment for him.
Yeah.
I can imagine that's just as tough.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I think it's seen as, do you know, like, I'm so grateful to have had, you know, the business loan to kickstart it all, you know, and it just, gosh, it is something that, you know, going to him with the idea, it was something that I have always taken very seriously. And there probably is that emotional aspect to it because, you know, it is something, you know, it's business, but they're also family investing in it, and you don't want to let anyone down.
Of course, and I can imagine, like, and ultimately he's your dad, and you know that he has worked incredibly hard
Absolutely.
throughout his career to be able to give you said loan and be able to help in that way.
Yeah.
And we should also point out that it is a business loan,
Yeah.
right? But so you also know how much it means, and you're very aware of his work ethic and
for sure
wanting to respect that too.
Yeah, and I think that is always, you know, that'll always be at the back of my mind, you know, at this point, because, you know, I'm kind of wanting it to work for them so much. And yeah, so it is something that really drives me because, you know, it's, you know, I want to make it work for them, yeah, to ensure that's all okay. But yeah, it was initially a really kind of scary thought. I think, you know, when you're asking, you know, for investment or a business loan, you know, you've got to, gosh, really come prepared. You have to, you know, you're going to be asked so many questions, you know, whether it's like the forecast, you know, what your plans for the brand, you know, you can get grilled essentially.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
It's something that I'm constantly, it's something that, you know, when I see my dad and he's like, how's business? And I think, you know, there's that side that we're very kind of, I keep that professional because that's obviously a really important thing to me, and you know,
and striking that balance is tough. And there's also an argument that you can actually never get away from it when it's family.
Yeah.
So if something is happening and it's not, I don't know, something isn't performing in the way that you thought this particular product might, or because, you know, it happens, business isn't linear, right? But knowing that it's your dad, it's kind of a really, it's interesting. And I always find this when I spoke to Mona Katan, who was an incredible guest, and her sister is Huda, and they started Huda Beauty together, and having family so kind of such a big part of your business, which is great, but also there are times where that can sort of be a little bit tricky, and it's quite a tricky dynamic to navigate, right?
And you don't want it to leach into every part of your relationship.
Of course.
And I'm very grateful because my dad is really great with advice. So, you know, on actually at any level of the business, like even if, you know, things aren't always going to go to plan, he's a good sounding board. He is, and I'm very grateful for that because he's just, I feel like he's provided some really great kind of nuggets of advice when I've needed it. So I'm very grateful for that.
Did he instantly understand the idea? Because it is, when you are innovating and it is a new concept, and sometimes at the start when these ideas are born, and I always think the best ideas are born out of kind of a self-indulgent place. Like you're like, this is something that I would really need, and there's definitely a gap here. But it does take understanding. So like when you're trying to sort of convince somebody that this is a really good business strategy, like did it instantly make sense? Yeah,
I think he's been very understanding of, I think, my own health journey and my struggles, and because he's kind of
lived
it with me, and seeing how much kind of that's affected my life, and just that, you know, seeing that. And also he's very kind of, you know, if you're willing to work hard at it, you know, we'll support you with your kind of your vision with it. I think at times, in all honesty, he said he didn't realize it would be what it has become, and in all, probably me neither, really, to be honest. Like with them, been really fortunate with kind of gaining the listings we've had even before launching, and I would think, gosh, looking back, I was like launching to Whole Foods a year before I even was ready to launch. So there was areas I was just a bit like very ballsy with, but
I love that. And I think but it also is testament to the brand and people really understanding and connecting that there is a big gap, and there's a space here that needs filling. And you know, the timing, I probably aligned too, where of course that just didn't exist, you know, to be that super friendly, inclusive, fun brand, like I said, that disrupts that boring free from aisle is needed.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, what date did you actually launch?
We launched the 1st of March this year.
Like, it's actually bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, to launch, I feel like I must have discovered you on like the 10th or something.
You did.
Like, I feel like I was
Oh my
really
gosh,
early.
I was like, come on,
I
you
was
know about
shopping at
me.
the right time.
Yeah.
So you launch in March.
Yes.
And I remember our first birthday of my little Coco like it was yesterday. And like, it's almost like you just birth a child into the world and it's there for everybody to see and have an opinion on and, you know, either love or not love. What was that launch day like?
Oh gosh. Well, it was incredible. And we did our activation in Whole Foods on kind of the very first week. And we sold out in Whole Foods, which was a real surreal moment for me. And it was really emotional. I do think seeing it on the shelves was, oh gosh, it was overwhelming. And I just thought, oh my God, it was like 4 years in the making to get it on the shelf. So seeing it actually there, you're just like, you kind of just feel like an overwhelming kind of emotion.
And all of that work, like 4 years, is a lot when you're living and breathing something. And of course, I know that you were doing it on the side at the start whilst you were teaching, and now you can't teach anymore because it's launched and it's really happening, and you kind of need to go with that momentum. But that moment when it does hit a shelf and you've put like blood, sweat, tears, health journey and everything else into something, like, of course it's emotional. It's such a big moment.
Absolutely.
So since the moment you launched, where are you now? Where are you now listed? Because I know that the momentum has been quite strong, hasn't it?
Absolutely. So I'm really fortunate that we launched with Whole Foods and Planet Organic and soon after that Selfridges, and just going live on Ocado very soon. So there's some exciting things in the pipeline, and hopefully kind of the launch into Ireland and other countries. But it's been a whirlwind, and
it's been a few months
trying to keep up with it. It's been a real learning curve for me.
And what a way to launch into, you know, after only, well, we're taping this in July, and you're already in those retailers, and it's so exciting.
Thank you.
What would you say you've learnt in the short space of time? Obviously, I say short space of time, 4 years getting it to this point, but only have launched in this short space of time. What would you say has been the biggest learning curve so far?
Oh, that's a good question. I do think with the business, how actually like running your own business can be quite a lonely thing. And it's one of those things where I've like understood the importance of, you know, networking and talking to people in the same boat as you, because I think at times you don't want to like burden your partner or your family with your business worries. So sometimes you kind of just keep them in.
Well, it's so all consuming that you kind of worry for everyone else. You're like, is this all I talk about now? Like you feel like you become that person that, you know, you meet a person that just shows you pictures of their dog and that's all they do, or pictures of their kid. Like it becomes like that with a business. But most people do have a pet or a child, so everybody can sort of pick up and relate. Where when you're doing this thing and you're like, does anyone else really care about tiger nuts the way I do?
I know. I'm like, I really want to talk about it, but I can't.
And I'm bursting to tell you. It is, and I often say that it's so insular that you spend a lot of time alone with this, and of course you have friends that you can share stuff with, but you feel like everyone's got a life to live, and is anyone that interested?
Absolutely.
It does become quite a lonely thing. You're right, and you do realise that quite quickly, don't you?
Yeah. And it's something that I just need to like I'm really grateful because even with the amazing like female founders in your community,
Yeah.
connecting with them has been incredible.
I love that.
So they are fab, and everyone, do you know what? Most people have gone through what you've going through at some stage.
And do you know what? That is literally the reason why I created this podcast, because it is a real community, which I'm so sort of thankful for. But that was also a self-indulgent thing. I was listening to podcasts based on like certain female founders that I'd like, and I was never loyal to one series or felt like I was part of a club because it would just be about that particular guest, and I would just listen to whatever they were on. So I was like, wouldn't it be great if I could just, and I meet like a new incredible woman every week that I then become friends with, and you came to our walk.
Oh,
and
I love that.
Like getting everybody together, and everyone like then stays in touch, and it's such a kind of supportive community, because you kind of don't have that in your friendship group because not everyone's doing the same thing. So it's so nice to share stories and I love it. It's so nice.
It's been a real eye opener to me, and I think that's something that definitely helps with the kind of, I don't know, just not feeling so alone in it. Yeah.
Someone's either done that a few years before or about to go through something, and I think, and I've definitely noticed that, interviewed startups or people that like yourself that have a few months old, and from people that have founded billion-dollar companies, everyone has the same problems. They're all just relative and on different scales, or they've been there or living through them. So it's really nice and it's refreshing, and women need to talk more about
They definitely
everything.
do. They definitely do. And you don't need to be, I think my kind of normal mode is like panic mode with certain things. Yeah. And it doesn't need to be the case. And I think that's made me realise actually, someone's been through it. They're all good.
It all figures itself out. It does.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like the world's crumbling at the time.
Yes.
But you get through it, and then you just do things differently based on like what
you
you've
learn
learned
from it.
Yeah,
for sure.
I want to do our rocket round now.
Amazing.
And we ask every guest the same set of questions. So the first one it's supposed to be quick fire, by the way.
Okay.
We're not always great at this.
I'm a bit of a waffler, maybe.
What do you believe are the non-negotiables for launching a business?
Yes, I think testing the concept as quickly and cost-effectively as possible.
Yeah.
I think, like, especially in the food world, like if the recipe isn't finalised, if the branding isn't finalised, if you're able to just get feedback on that, and just to get consumer feedback as quickly as you can, I think that is really important. And I know Humble Crumble, the founder of that, speaks really well about that, and she's like created her like empire.
Yes.
So I think that is a kind of the first one. I think the why, I know it's a bit cliche, but that why will get you through those hard times. And I think that purpose behind the brand is so vital.
So
and without that, I think you lose your customer, you lose people actually invested in it.
And it all becomes a bit of a grey area, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I think staying true to your values. I think, as soon as you're cutting corners or I think even if you're sticking to your values and it costs you in the short term, I think you've got to. And I know I've definitely found that even with being organic, that's kind of like pushed back our launch 6 months than it originally was planned, but it's important to us.
And do you know what's so interesting to me is Ella Mills was a guest, and obviously deliciously Ella, and everything that she does, she's done incredibly well. And that was something that she really was incredible with, particularly in your space, right? And when you're dealing with food and it being, but she was like, can't it just be a natural? Can't food just be food? But she fought to find
and finding
a supplier and a manufacturer to understand it,
and
really partnered with other people at the start, but they didn't understand it and tried to get her to make it a certain way. But she ended up finding the right supplier. And then when she then sort of sold the business, they then had to continue supplying in that way because of the way she'd then built the back end and the infrastructure, which is amazing.
Yeah,
and
I
now
think it's
obviously
really...
when you sell a brand of that scale, they can't change those fundamental values. Which
so she stuck to it.
Yeah,
and
yeah. But it's
gosh,
hard
worked
to
out
do in
for
that
her.
space.
Yeah.
But once
And
you find the right people.
for sure. And even with our manufacturer, I think that took a year to find someone that was able to work with these ingredients that have never been used before in a cereal. So you're always going to come to those kind of like hurdles with it. But
keep going.
Yeah, keep going. And I think also, sorry, this is not quick fire.
No, but it's
is
fine.
It?
We
I'm
like
so
it.
Slow.
We're here. I told you it happens. I told you it's fine. We like it.
And then I think also being like adapt and constantly learning. Like the world is always changing, and you are going to get left behind if you're kind of not keeping up with it. And I remember reading this little equation, and it was flexibility plus purpose equals like survival for brands.
It's so true.
I think those things together like are really vital. And the last one, sorry, I think now I'm thinking of it, is just like your health. I think with my own health, I've just realised actually it's so important to look after yourself. You can kind of like, with the midst of all the craziness of the brand, I think you can lose sight of that.
You forget to eat the right things. You get to it's easily done because you're putting everything into it.
Absolutely.
So it's easy to forget about yourself. So it is. It's important to be able to do it successfully. It really is. I think so. What is the first thing you do when you wake up and the last thing you do before you go to bed?
I'm probably the world's worst at this because I'm like the person to bring my laptop to bed. So I'm trying to get a bit better.
Yeah, it's hard.
But yeah, I just try, and I've actually, like in the mornings, I've now got one of the LED kind of lights,
like red light
for my hair, because that's with my kind of hair growth journey. I found that that's really helping me. So I kind of get that on.
Have you seen the little hair
crazy.
brushes that have got them?
No.
There's like a little hairbrush. I got one for my birthday, and it's got red light in it, and you can like brush.
Oh gosh,
yeah, it's quite a good thing to
have.
Like you know, when you're just bored and you're sat in front of the sofa.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to be searching on the way home. But that's something that I try and just stick to, and I'm like big into my supplements, and I find that really helps keep my lupus at bay. So I kind of have a morning smoothie quite early just so I can get my supplements in. But and try and just take that bit in the morning to just get ready for the day, take the time. To just sort of build yourself up.
I'm now intrigued. What are your go-to supplements? What are you putting in your smoothie?
So I'm big into collagen. I think that's really helped with my hair and my gut health, and just I think that's
your skin's incredible.
Thank you. Gosh, yours is. I'm probably really looking shiny right now.
No, you're good.
And I think with autoimmune conditions and overall health, like vitamin D and K2 is like really, really great. I think that's been a really big supplement for me. I take glutathione. Like, oh God, I won't bore you with all of them.
No,
but
I love it.
I'm really like passionate about supplements, and it allows me not to rely on like immunosuppressants and things. So so God, there's a fair few. I think I take like NAD, like I think it's CoQ10. So these are all things that I've just like tried and tested, and helped me to kind of not have my symptoms. So
well, it's working.
I'm big into it.
It's
thank
working.
you.
No, but and also you can't, like you say, it's so. I'm so into like alternative medicine and like ways of kind of like eating and doing. My mum has got a liver autoimmune condition called PCB, and she annoys me because she doesn't try and figure it out herself with like diet, and I really put the pressure on her at the minute, and she's doing better.
And it's hard because then you're like, if you're not
like
naturally
at her,
one to like research.
But she really could make it just at least like really sort of subside her symptoms and really sort of feel better. And she does, but it's like she's like rattling with all these tablets. But I'm like, please, and I'm like researching on how she can eat through it and this, that, and the other.
Bless.
But what do they say? You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Exactly. What's one piece of advice that you wish you hadn't listened to?
Do you know what? I'll probably say I'll maybe change that to like not take on as much advice, because I think it actually at times confused me even more, and some of it was contradictory.
Yes.
And I think I completely lost my own like gut, like kind
Because
of.
it's all so distracting,
Yeah.
very noisy, isn't it?
Yeah.
When everyone's giving their opinion and they're
Yeah.
kind of two pence worth.
Definitely. And I think I definitely kind of made mistakes so far on this journey, but I've learned from them, and by God, I will not be doing the same mistakes again. But yeah, I think it was definitely at times just maybe I was looking at too many people to get kind of advice from, and it just maybe was a bit too much.
I hear a lot of founders say the same thing actually, but I also think when you're starting, you really do. It's almost like I remember when I had my first daughter, and I would like, if someone said to me, oh, you should try one of these. This is great for wind, or this is great for this. You name it, I would have bought it, and it was at my house the next day, because I was just like, didn't really know what the hell I was doing, and I'd listen to anyone. But then you get confused because one person says, oh no, they're not allowed to drink water, and the other person says, she's probably just thirsty. And I'd be like, oh my God, but which one is
You
it?
don't know what to believe,
and then
you?
obviously then you have another baby, and then you're like, oh, I kind of know what I'm doing. I trust myself.
yeah.
But I think it's the same thing with business, where you take on so much because you're not really sure. But then you have to kind of make your own mistakes and find your way a little bit to know what's going to work for you, right?
Absolutely.
What's a skill that you'd love to learn?
Oh gosh, many. I do think, and is this from a business perspective?
Well,
or is
yes
this...
or no. I mean, I did have someone say they really want to learn to backflip, and I was like, sure, that'll spice up the lunch hour.
Oh my gosh. Well, lots. But I think mainly, probably, I wish it didn't take me so long to get my head around kind of spreadsheets and Excel, P&Ls. You know, that is just an area that I think, being a primary school teacher, I haven't had, much experience in. I'd say probably that, and that's probably the main one. And maybe like, and creatively, like I'm like, gosh, it's so bad, or like, but Canva is just something that like I go to, but I wish I had more skills.
I know, but I think Canva have done such a good job in making someone like me, and I suppose yourself, if you're saying so, like, give us a bit of a head start and make it a little bit easy, and simplifying it for us.
It is a great platform.
And even like I will do a bit on Canva to show a designer what I'm sort of meaning. Like if I can't articulate what's in my brain. So it helps. But I think, we can't do everything.
No,
we can't.
No.
Otherwise there'd be no jobs. There'd be no jobs for anyone. What's one thing you wish someone had told you before you started your business?
Probably that, like I mentioned before, I think that you do spend so much time alone, and is you kind of do feel it. It can be a bit lonely, but having that network of people is so important that you can reach out to.
And you've got to put yourself out there to have that network, haven't you? And I think that's the one thing. You can get a little bit sort of stuck in that lonely, unless you sort of be a bit brave and ask a question, and
to be brave,
sort of reach out to people, because 9 times out of 10 they're also really happy that you have. Like, oh my God, I'm so pleased you've asked.
True.
What would be the dream collab for your brand? And that could either be like from an ambassador perspective, or like, those brand on brand collabs that we're seeing.
I love this question. I would love for, just from my own experience, I know travel, it's so hard to grab kind of a food product that you're not like just questioning the ingredients about. So like even with like airlines, with for our little minis to be
like a BA or something.
That would be the dream, and hotels, because I just think it's such a a growing area with people struggling with ingredients and gluten, so why not?
And the mission is to make everyone's life easy. Oh my God, if they were on a flight,
that'd be the dream.
That would be insane.
So if I can make that happen,
I think it's happening. I mean, come on. But we're even seeing, like, very good friend of mine is the founder of Grind, coffee. The coffee pods.
He's done amazing.
And he has done incredibly well. He's so smart. But you can go on a BA flight now and have a Grind coffee, as opposed to like whatever weird coffee everyone was having before.
God
and I think
what it was.
the world is kind of open to giving that like normal life but in the air.
Yeah. And it's really great to see, because I think at times, you know, when you're traveling, you're just like wanting a nice cup of coffee or, you know.
It's such a simple idea, but it
Yes.
just sort of wasn't happening before. And I love it. I love to see that.
Yeah, me too.
If you could choose one female figure as a mentor, past or present, who would that be?
Oh, there is so many. I'm constantly inspired by all the women I meet, really. I think they have amazing skill sets, and I'd say one person that always catches my eye, I always think Grace Beverley.
Oh, yes,
It's just, I don't know how she does it all.
Yeah.
She's incredible.
She does so much,
She does
doesn't
so
she?
much. Yeah.
And I feel like she's the good thing about Grace, if you follow her, I feel like she's always very forward and forthcoming with like tips and hacks and how
I
she
love
does
that.
certain things.
Yeah, and it's really great. And I think I recently signed up to her newsletter, and like her notes came through, and I thought, oh my God, this is like she's
really useful
and really great. And I know she's opened up her store now in London.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's doing incredibly well. So yeah, it's so inspiring. But yeah, there's so many women. Gosh,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I ask each guest to give one piece of advice that maybe something they wish they knew or something they've learned kind of along the way. But one piece of advice for a lady looking to launch. And I normally sort of keep it in the vein of you and what you do. So if someone is listening to this and thinking, I'm quite interested in this food space and I've got a, you know, what I believe is an innovative idea, like what would a bit of advice be you would share with a listener?
Yeah, I would say that really put yourself out there, even with like within the food world. There's incredible food events that you just you get your foot in the door, you go, you talk about your product and you tell people and get feedback. I think just constantly doing that, I think that really helped me. With attending the Natural Organic Expo before we even launched, I was able to just get a pitching session with Whole Foods, and I just thought, no, this is the time to do it. So I'm always like super passionate about going to these food events where there's incredible brands there. So you're able to learn from them. You're able to introduce yourself and connect with people in the food world, and just kind of really going to those events that are incredible. I know, like off the top of my head, like Bread and Jam is great, and the Natural Organic Expo. There's so many food events that even go just before even launching, just to
be a bit of a sponge and see what's there.
So
that's such good advice. That's really, really good advice. And then lastly, if we talk about ladies who launch, but when it comes to ladies who lunch, if you're not eating SUPERKEEN, how do you spend your lunch hour? What do you eat and where are you?
I love this question. I do love like a breakfast for lunch vibe. I think I'm a brunchy girl, and I'm not
true to form.
Yeah, and do you know what? I do like just a bit basic, but like eggs. I do like just a loaded omelette or
like a brunch vibe for lunch.
Yeah, like on avo toast, like some good gluten-free bread. So yeah, I do love that. And if I'm in London, I feel like it's a bit of a treat, and then I get like a big old loaded salad. Yeah. But in Manchester, there's some place, but I just feel like we need to up our game in Manchester.
You need one of those really good, like in London we have like salad projects.
I'm so jealous. I know.
What else are there? Like vital ingredient, Attis, toss, like those vibes.
Yeah.
There's the next business
I
idea.
know. It needs to happen. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much. It's been so nice to talk to you properly and hear all about the brand in such little time. It's really sort of starting to be on everyone's radar. And I remember I posted something on Instagram and a couple of people replied and was like, oh my God, I've loved this too.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So I think it's launched in such a strong way. I'm so excited for you. This is what you've done in like a few months.
Thank you.
We need to sort of sit down in a year's time and see where you are.
That'd be great.
Thank you, and also thanks for making Valley's day, because you have
She's made my day.
You've got a super fan
She's
for
the
life
cutest.
over there.
Aw.
Honestly, there you go. She can be your like focus group if you want to test new products.
Oh my gosh, give me
bring them to the
feedback.
Humes household.
I would love that.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
I love
much.
that.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
That was so nice.
Aw.
Don't forget to follow us on Apple and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts to make sure that you don't miss out, because next time I'm going to be joined by another incredible lady who launched. If like me you're a watcher, then please follow us on YouTube and don't forget to like and subscribe.